Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn McEntee. I'm your humble host of Spotlight on Youth Matters because you matter. And we're here because of Youth for Change Canada. We want to do a shout out to Youth for Change for allowing us to be here on this platform. It's fantastic to be here and shine light on all of these wonderful topics that are of interest to youth. Before we do that, I actually just wanted to take a moment and just do a land acknowledgement. Although we're meeting virtually, I just wanted to acknowledge that the land that we meet on. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous people of the lands that we're on today. While we meet on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. So thank you for allowing us to be here today. Thank you to Youth for Change. For Youth for Change and Spotlight on Youth Matters, just a little bit of tidbit of information there. We are focusing on youth matters of the heart, community building, and being your authentic self. No one else can do it better than you. So thank you for being here today. We have a wonderful guest from Skills Ontario. His name is Azman, and he's going to be speaking to us about skill building and the importance of Skills Ontario and the work that Skills Ontario does. So Azman, thank you so much for being here today.
And thank you very much for the warm welcome, Lynn. It's really good to be here.
Thank you a lot. Thank you. So Spotlight on Youth Matters is very important to us. It's matters of the heart, skill building, as we said, but Youth for Change Canada covers a variety of topics. So be sure to follow us on social media, give us a like, and put in a word of encouragement for us so that we can continue to do the work that we're doing and bring the programming that we can do for you online or in person. So be sure to do that. And if you have a suggestion for a future show, please do so. And we would love to consider that for future possibilities. Again, my name is Lynn McEntee. I'm here with Azman from Skills Ontario. Okay, Azman. So Azman, I know we're talking about skill building and we have a little bit of a presentation. We're going to just be informal, folks, if you're tuning into us, and we may just, kind of bridge into other parts of the conversation. But Azman was kind enough to prepare a few things for us today.
Yes, so I suppose we'll get a soft introduction. I would like to start by mentioning that Skills Ontario, as an organization, we are a not-for-profit primarily funded by the government, both federal and the provincial. And we essentially are educating and informing and empowering youth in Ontario, specifically within the skilled trades related or regarding aspects. So what we do is we reach out to youth, we tell them, here's a massive opportunity. So that's why I'm here today as well, to talk about that. Just an introduction to skilled trades and technologies. The idea is that as at least the main target group that we meet, youth, at some point in life, as they grow up, 20s, early 20s, they will have to start thinking about their career and what profession they would like to be in, which is where the best way we understand that youth can make a sound decision or a very effective decision about their life is when they have all the information available, when they know of all the options available. Now, skilled trades in particular is essentially 50% of all options, specifically in Canada. The government says that there is a statistic, very important, I think, 40% of all jobs in Canada by 2025 will be in the skilled trades. So if you take in 2025, if you take 100 jobs, 40 of those is going to be in the skilled trades, which means the opportunity is massive, which is why we think that this is very important. So I do have something quite simple that I want to share with you about the skilled trades and technologies. And that's we'll spend a few minutes taking a look at that. Firstly, if we ask ourselves what we mean by a skilled trade, we broadly say that any job which has a hands-on element to it, which is practical. It's not remote. It's not like accounting. It's not theoretical. It's practical. You have to use tools. You have to physically be present. And it's also quite technical. And this is a misconception that a lot of people have, that skilled trades are too simple. They're too simple. Anybody can do it, that sort of thing. But that's absolutely not true. These jobs are quite technical. They're very learning intensive. So anyone who wants to get into the trades is looking at educational journey post high school of at least between any time duration between 2 to 4 years. There's a lot of learning involved. And another great thing about the trades is that it gives a massive opportunity in terms of being creative. So we say that if a job fits into these, or if this criteria is present within a job, we say that it's a skilled trade. So just a example, I would say, from those normal jobs that we know as electrician, plumber, welder, all those jobs. In addition, power line technician, truck and coach mechanic, marine engineering or marine technician, actually, not engineer, marine technician. You're looking at arborists, hairstylists, chefs, bakers, all of these people, all of these jobs are within the skilled trades because they are hands-on, practical, highly technical, and creative. The second aspect I want to highlight is that there are a lot of jobs in this sector. And to be exact, currently the registered number of skilled trades within Ontario is 144. And those 144 comes from these sectors. It's from the construction sector, industrial sector, motive power, service, and technology. So if you look at the 144, which I'm hoping I'll be able to share with you today through a link, which Youth for Change participants can really check out. And I think they should. I think everyone should, just to see what kind of jobs. Because I remember the first time when I looked at that list, I saw at least 50 jobs I had never even heard of in my life.
Wow.
But they do exist in Ontario. They do exist in Canada. Yes. And you suddenly realize that there's this massive opportunity there for things that you may be good at that you never knew existed before. So it's very important that we pay attention to it. But broadly, you have the construction sector. So all the people who build all of the buildings, all of the shelter that we live in, that we operate out of, everything. You have industrial, which is essentially people who enable mass production, right? Mass manufacturing. Everything. That's the fact that today we can go to a mobile phone store. If we have enough money, we can even buy 100 phones, is because of these people. Then you've got motive power. It's essentially transportation of goods and people. It's taken care of by this sector. Services are daily challenges, from our early childhood educators to arborists to retail workers to our hairstylists to chefs and bakers, all of them. Those people who make our daily lives easy. That's service. And a booming sector that is promoted parallelly is technologies. So everyone who is working, let's say photographers working with technology, robotic arm specialists, you're talking about graphic designers, you're talking about 3D game developers, software developers, people who take care of network connectivity, they belong to the technology sector. So there's a massive number of jobs that come from each of these sectors, which is why the potential is huge and something that I think students should really pay attention to. So I do have a few links. We're going to skip this. But one thing I want to highlight is about the jobs. A few important points is that now, obviously, if you take, for example, just to prove a point, if you take a sector like construction, Lynn, would you agree if I say that without the people in the construction sector, our lives would be very difficult?
Oh, very much so.
Yes. Right, exactly. So, or without the people in the motive power sector who takes care of our vehicles, cars, vans, you name it, trucks, coaches, airplanes. Imagine our life, we'd be stranded.
I think we would screech to a halt.
Exactly. Right. Literally. So it's essential. And the fact that it's essential makes it very much in demand. So job security is a major element, major characteristic. You live in a world nowadays, and I think it's very relevant for youth that they understand that technology is overtaking things. I just heard last week some of the major companies, including Microsoft and Tesla, had laid off over 10,000 people. Now, one of the reasons why this is happening is because some of the generic jobs, which weren't used to be generic at all 5 years ago, is now being done through technologies like artificial intelligence. You've got software that can do complete financial statements, so you don't really need accountants anymore. Small businesses use these software, and if you're a small business owner and you can buy one of these softwares, and you just have to do the data entry properly. All the transactions, you record it properly. At the end of the month, end of the week, end of the year, you get your financial statements automatically prepared.
Mhm.
So, you live in a world that's changing. The thing about the skilled trades is that, you can't really replace a plumber. You can't really, a plumber. I mean, we do this remote, we do this online virtual, but imagine you've got a plumbing issue at home and the plumber calls you up and says, why don't you connect me through Zoom and I'll fix it for you? That would be impossible. So the fact is that not only these jobs are essential, but these are in demand, and therefore they are rewarding, highly rewarding. And the other aspect is that they are very safe. Which is a misconception that used to be thrown around, where people used to cite these jobs as dangerous or not safe.
Yeah.
But that's not true anymore, because on the one end, you have the organization, in Ontario specifically, the Workplace Safety Insurance Board, which has put in a very large amount of effort to regulate and standardize safety within the skilled trade sector. So there's a lot of work going on. In addition to that, the personal protective equipment, protective mechanisms, different policies in terms of health and safety, those are all now being revamped. They have been revamped, and they regularly get updated to ensure that everyone is always experiencing the highest standards of safety within this sector.
Mhm.
So these are some important points that I think youth should consider when if they are really interested in getting into a skilled trade. So I already talked about how they're in demand, how 40% of all jobs in Canada will be in the skilled trades. So just to give you a rough idea, if you look at the income distributions between the average income of all jobs, that's about 52,000. But in particular, when you look at skilled trades, some of the skilled trades here, you're looking at plumbers, mechanics, crane operators, millwrights making on average about 65,000 per annum. And you've got steam fitters, pipe fitters at about 90. Elevator technicians 80, but I know in the greater Toronto area, there are people who make well above $100,000 per annum, because elevators are, you can't really live without elevators here. You've got all these high rises. And safety, of course, where as I was saying, the Workplace Safety Insurance Board is they're working very hard to ensure that everyone who works in Ontario, they have a right to know and participate in safe work, while also having an absolute right with no repercussions to refuse unsafe work if they deem it to be so, until they think it's safe.
Azman, could you give an example of that for any youth that will be watching? So if they're working a part-time job somewhere, whether it be part-time or full-time, but where they're feeling unsafe, could you describe a scenario like that?
So I think a good example would be like power line technician. You've got jobs that if you join as an apprentice or if you join as a beginner, you would be working out of these tall cranes going into the power lines on top. And sometimes an onlooker, we would be looking at it and we would be seeing someone on a crane close to the power lines of the grid, and we'd be thinking this is dangerous. However, that's absolutely not the case. On the one end, the safety around the job is highly regulated. They have all the mechanisms in place to ensure that safety is at the highest possible level. In addition to that, they're trained in such a way to understand, to gauge the situation and to determine if it is safe or not. And if they feel that it's unsafe, they can say, currently, this is not something we should be getting into. Let's make sure that all the requirements are up to the standard that will ensure the required safety level until they feel confident, and then go for it.
So
you have
so their onboarding package would then more or less equip them with the knowledge if something doesn't feel right. Then
definitely.
Gotcha.
So the WSIB, the Workplace Safety Insurance Board, this is where they come in. When we, or even youth, if any youth are watching or whoever is watching, whenever you start to work, you will come across this organization, especially in Ontario. You will come across them, you will go through different trainings, and that of course applies not only for the, I think, skilled trades, it's any job that you do in Ontario. Health and safety will be a major discussion of the first few days you have joined a company and you're working. So that's with the trades, why I think highlighting it a little extra is important is because of the misconception that sometimes is around this idea that trades are dangerous. But that's actually not the case.
I like how you highlighted that. It's a misconception. Yeah.
Exactly. So one other thing that I want to highlight is how do you get into the trades if you're interested? Now, of course, as you can see here, among these are the 4 pathways available for youth after school. After you finish high school, these are the pathways available. Now, I think one of the most popular options is university, right? It comes with ambition. It comes with a norm in society as well. But if you want to get into the trades, the 2 pathways that will work for you is apprenticeship and college. Those are the 2 pathways that works if you want to get into the trades. Like, for example, if you want to be a mechanic, you can either go take a college program in being a mechanic, or you can go and join an expert mechanic as an apprentice and work under them and clock in the required number of hours that is needed for you to be recognized as someone who has that right kind of expertise, who has gained the right kind of knowledge to the point that they would be considered as someone who can independently operate and deliver the work. So apprenticeship and college are the 2 options. Now, colleges, of course, when you think about it, in Ontario, there are over 24 public colleges. They offer a massive amount of courses, and that's a huge opportunity for skill building, because, as I said, it's to get into the trades, you don't just think that, okay, I want to become an industrial millwright, and then the next day you become one. It's not the case. Some of the trades, the learning is more intense than university itself. And we actually now see a trend of students doing both parallelly. They get into an apprenticeship while also parallelly finishing a college program. So they're getting more trained, better training. They're getting educated from a college environment while also getting their training from an actual work environment. So if anyone's interested in getting into the trades, you have to, I would say it is a mandate that you check out the colleges available for you and the options available, the programs available. And of course, with the apprenticeship, you will be assigned an expert tradesperson. We generally call them a journey person. So if you want to be, for example, if you want to be a truck and coach mechanic, you will be assigned an expert truck and coach mechanic as your mentor, as your trainer. So you will be going and working under them, and they will be training you on the job. So the slightly contrasting thing about apprenticeship is that unlike college, for which you have to pay, when you join a trade as an apprentice, you get paid because you are learning on the job, but you're getting paid to learn. So that's actually a very attractive thing, and we see a lot of youth engaging in apprenticeships nowadays at an early age. In high school, of course, there is this option called pre-apprenticeships that is available, because then students can actually get that feeling of what an apprenticeship looks like and feels like before they get into the apprenticeship itself. While they're in school, they can feel it out. and decide whether it's something that works for them or not.
Would that be similar to co-op then?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Great.
It
Okay.
comes in different names and forms,
Yes.
but that experience is what those offer.
Amazing. Yeah, for sure. And then and sometimes people will be hired from there, right out of high school sometimes, right?
Most of the time.
Yes. Very good.
Most of the time, actually, at least the people I have met, all of them in the trades,
Wow.
they took a co-op while in school. Most of them, at least 95% of the tradespeople, and I do meet quite a few of them in my line of work.
Yeah.
And they have taken a co-op. Now, so this is definitely something that's quite worthwhile for students to check out. I think one of the highlights is the OYAP program, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So this is a great opportunity. One of the most recent statistics is that currently almost 20% of all apprentices in Ontario come through the OYAP program.
Wow, that's a big percentage.
It is, and it
Yes.
is rising. I think that number, the OYAP popularity and the adoption rates are rising quite drastically. Yeah. Because the word is getting around, and we are actually dealing with these misconceptions around the skilled trade. So students are more open to it. Parents are becoming more open to it, and really just being open-minded about it. And understanding, and weighing the pros and cons of university and college pathway and apprenticeship pathway, and seeing what works best. Because, Lynn, I meet students, and sometimes when I walk into a class, and if I meet 100 students, there would be students who don't really operate well and perform well in a in-class environment, where the teacher to student kind of discussion, but they thrive in a practical learning environment. They do well in a different learning setting. So we see that students who recognize that aspect, we see that there are a lot of students who consider college and apprenticeship especially as a much more viable option for them to gain the required skills, to meet the people who are experts, and to learn on the job. So this is actually a great opportunity for Ontarian youth, which they should, I think, take quite seriously and consider.
Azman, do you mind if I just double back on that? So that program, how long has that been around? I
think, to my understanding, it's been, so I don't really remember the exact time it began, but I can show you something more than a decade.
More than, yeah, there you go.
I think it's definitely at least 22 decades or somewhere close to that.
And I love how you reference the classroom setting, because that truly is where we're trying to figure it out for youth, and youth themselves are trying to figure it out. Maybe the fit is not there in that traditional setting, perhaps, so-called traditional setting, that they may have to look elsewhere for success. They are quite capable of success, but it's just redefining what the fit is.
That's very true, Lynn. That's very true, because I think there is a disconnect between the right or the learning environment that suits the youth and what is available for them.
Yeah.
Now, post high school, and even in high school, with the different options available like OYAP and co-op and tech courses and SHISM, what we call specialist high skill majors that are offered by various schools under different areas. These are great opportunities that students don't really get until they get to high school. They don't really have that. And then they get to high school and they have all these opportunities, and it would be actually an absolute waste of their time and the opportunity available to test those out, to test drive them, and to figure out, okay, what works for me? What should I be doing? Does this work? Does that work? So while in school, if they try the many things available and they can eliminate the ones that doesn't work for them, then post high school, they can actually make a well-informed decision about, Now, I can tell you in my experience, I'm an immigrant. I come from a different part of the world. And when I look at the Canadian education system, this is extremely sophisticated. And I I tell students all the time, you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't appreciate the value of what you've got here, because we didn't have something like this back home. We were told that, you either get into the mathematics stream, you try to be an engineer, or you get into the biology stream where you try to end up becoming a doctor, or you choose what we call arts there, but the end goal is to be a lawyer. So unless you get into these three and become one of those three, you're kind of, you amount to nothing. That's the kind of environment I grew up in.
That's interesting you say that. I immigrated as well with my family, and the mindset at the time is, you go to certain professions for success, especially being from an immigrant family. But it has changed, as you had said, sort of like a 2-decade period, more or less. It has been changing, and it's interesting to see those choices being made in a different manner. And maybe in the past, the student may not have been successful, but because that world has been opened up to them, just to see them shine, and it's just so beautiful to see that link has been made, and the fit, if you will, because they've more or less found their calling, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm glad you referenced that. Thank you for referencing that. Appreciate it.
So as a end note, I wanted to share a few links on screen. Can you see I'm on the OAP homepage?
Yeah.
Right. So I think this is a great resource for school students, because once you get into this page, you can actually look at what is available, what courses what opportunities are available. And you can actually even see who is working with OAP. And for your respective schools, you actually connect through the guidance counselors and see how, if you're interested in something, you look at what potential employers offer that pre-apprenticeship, and see how you get into it through a reference from your school. A few other things that I wanted to point out, so I'm hoping to share all of these links with you, Lynn, which you can maybe pass on to your members.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is Ontario College's website. And you click on programs, you basically can explore all the programs that are available in one location, and decide what you want or what you're interested in, and read about them, understand what is available, how long it takes, what are the requirements, what would be the progression afterwards, etc. So all of that you can learn from this. Another is so the Job Talk Skill Trades YouTube playlist.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a great resource for students who are interested in the trades, because these are all actual tradespeople sharing their experiences, telling us how they got into it, and sharing their experiences, and giving advice to youth. So awesome. For example, the first video is Jennifer Green. She's also not only I think one of the youngest and highly recognized industrial millwrights, very inspiring personality, and has inspired, I think, hundreds if not thousands of young women to consider a trade like industrial millwright that may not have been traditionally looked at something that is potential for women. Wow. So quite interesting and inspiring personality. And in that video, if you look at it, she shares how she got into the trades, how she kind of steered from a university oriented path to the apprenticeship, and how it has changed her life. So there are so many inspiring stories here, real life stories, with footage of what their trade looks like as well. So this is, I think, a great resource for students.
Also glad you mentioned that we were interviewing a chef for another program, a chef who is also an immigrant as well. And she was just talking about how difficult it was to sort of penetrate the system as a female chef. And it was a wonderful conversation and very enlightening to hear her perspective on that. And it's breaking down the barriers, right? And the mindset and preconceived notions, conceptions. right? So it was beautiful to hear her success story. So it's nice to share those things, and it's nice to have mentors that are willing to share their story and post that publicly for people.
Definitely. So one thing I can, at least in the conversations I've had and the things I have seen, um, the quality that you have in these inspiring people is that they don't, is in the journey that they're going, the journey they're choosing to take, they don't really consider anything as as a sort of barrier.
Yeah.
They just do what needs to be done. They do not really worry too much. They have an end goal. They want to be something. They are ambitious. They want to be a licensed industrial millwright. Okay, so once you make that decision, you don't try to look back and consider who you are, what your background. You don't let any of that really come and challenge you. You've made a decision that this is the journey that you want to go, and then you go all out and you keep going forward. And of course, you're going to meet, or you're going to encounter challenges, and you're going to encounter different obstacles. But those are just milestones, if you look at it from another angle, because you overcome them and they make you better and they make you stronger. So every time I've heard them talking and I've heard them sharing their stories, the fact that they are inspiring, I feel, this is personally from my own experience, I feel they're inspiring because they, no matter what they faced, they didn't really take it in a negative way, and they just kept moving forward.
I love that. Yeah, that's a journey right there. That's awesome. I love what you said there. Moving forward, just keep moving forward. Milestones, as you said, stepping stones. Point A to point B. Just make, do you, because nobody else can do it better.
Exactly.
Nice. Wow.
So, and finally, I do want to touch on Skills Ontario. If you go to www.skillsontario.com, you can check out our website. We have so many initiatives, so many programs catering to youth all across Ontario, from different backgrounds, different experiences. And you can engage with our programs and our initiatives. There's a lot of resources regarding skilled trades to get you interested, to make you more knowledgeable, to make you better informed about the skilled trades and the opportunities. So definitely, I would invite you to check them out. There are many competitions, Ontario-wide and Canada-wide, and even there are competitions. The main competition goes on to the international stage as well, for school students to consider and to join and compete in, which are quite popular. So this is another invitation to anyone who's looking at engaging with Skills Ontario's initiatives. And if you're interested, you can just check out any of our social media feeds and reach out to us through any of them. And if you want any information about the skilled trades, this is, I think Skills Ontario is one of the primary hubs of information and inspiration for Ontarian youth. Which is where I come in. I work in the programs initiatives component of Skills Ontario, which is how I'm here today. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Lynn.
You too. No, thank you so much. It's amazing, really, when you think about it, for someone working in the trades. And often when we look at, as a student of life, really, it's left and right brain learning, right? So there are many things that we can do in the left brain and the right brain, but sometimes people only think of one avenue, and, I can only go that way. But it's important to honor that, sort of what we're wired with. And, working, in the education field as well, I see the other side of it. If someone's not finding their way, and that roadblock is there, and when you find the shining light, when you find something that fits, it's such a wonderful thing. And it's so invigorating and so uplifting that it can inspire you to, in turn, inspire others. I'll just use an example of early childhood education. That's important. But many people go on to university after that. They want both. They want to have the both. And I think employers want to have both in many cases because they have the practical experience knowledge, which is very necessary and real. But when you don't have both, then it's more challenging, I guess, if you will. So I can think of many teachers that have done both programmings, and they really did value their practical work experience
Right.
in the college field. And it makes them great teachers, well-rounded teachers.
Indeed. Indeed. I think teaching is not easy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of knowledge that you require for
Mhm.
teaching, and there's a lot of training
Yeah.
that you require, experiential learning.
Yeah.
So I think, as you mentioned, teachers taking this path, accumulating the university knowledge as well
Mhm.
down the line as they have become early childhood educators
Mhm.
is a wonderful option they're considering. With the trades, what I can add to that would be is that at least young apprentices, right? Most of the people I talk to or I've seen talking and inspiring youth, they say that when they were in high school, there was a point where they weren't sure if they really had something to do. They weren't sure if university was really great. And they grew up hearing that university was, I'm not saying that university
Oh,
is
yeah.
bad, but you've
I know
got
what you
a
mean.
group of students, right? Because not everyone is fit for for university, if at all. So then you've got some students, you could have some students who feel lost and who feel unsure of their future.
Mhm.
And then comes the information about skilled trades, which has changed their lives, which has suddenly, it's like a light bulb going in their head, and they've suddenly realized, okay, future is not as dark as it sounds. There
Mhm.
is something for me. And you explore that and you see, wow, okay, this works. At
Mhm.
least most of the successful apprentices I have spoken to and I have met say this. They say that there was one point I didn't know what I was going to do, and then either I was pushed to a co-op or a pre-apprenticeship by chance, or the guidance counselor helped them get into one. They still weren't sure, but they start working and they start gaining that knowledge and experience, and they realize, wow, this is something they're good at and there's something they enjoy, and suddenly their life feels more hopeful, and they've gone on to building excellent careers out of it. So I think that is a great potential skilled trades have,
Yeah.
especially in Ontario and Canada.
Yeah, very much so. Absolutely. And thank you for reiterating that. And it's sometimes in school, as we talked about, we see students acting out. It's because they're not really finding their way. They're not having their needs met. Anytime anyone is acting out, there's a very good chance that there's an underlying issue, so it's interesting. Do you mind if I ask then when the conversation starts? So if someone's 14 and they're just trying to figure out, sort of next steps, although they're, only 14, are they able to kind of align themselves with a mentor in the skilled trades field?
So what would happen, I think, as to my knowledge, is so when we say 14, their grade, they would be in
9.
grade 8, 9. Right? That's the so in terms of a direct mentorship, I think that opportunity comes when they're in high school
Mhm.
and they get into grade 10, 11. That's that kind of grade, that kind of age. That's where they actually have a more direct opportunity. But as students now, sometimes I meet students and I ask them, have you made up your mind about what you want to do
Yeah.
in your future? And I am surprised sometimes, because sometimes half of the hands in the class goes up and they've kind of made up their mind, even though we don't know whether it's a well informed and well thought out decision or not. But it's a positive thing, I always think, if they have some certainty about it. So this is one place where Skills Ontario is the work that we do is useful in, because we meet students of that age. We act as a conduit for those students, telling them, look, there is this opportunity where it's 40% of all opportunities in Canada by 2025.
Amazing.
This is massive.
It is. Yeah.
So I was in a exhibition, a career fair just last week
Mhm.
in a school in Georgetown, and it was a massive career fair.
Mhm.
And the fair featured different people from different jobs, and you wouldn't believe it. And I was there as a representative for Skills Ontario, and 90%, there were about, I think, at least 25 to 30 different jobs, different people from different jobs, and 90% of them were in the skilled trades.
Wow.
90%, right? You've got plumbers, you've got technicians, you've got mechanics, you've got all kinds of skilled trades people, hairstylists, chefs,
Mhm.
and you had about 5 to 10 people from other kind of jobs. I remember there was a CFO, and there were some of the first responders. There were first responders were there, but the representation of skilled trades was huge.
Mm.
And that was a great opportunity. So one thing is that Skills Ontario and organizations like probably Youth for Change, because see, you're doing work connecting and getting this information out. I think for younger students, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14,
Mhm.
these organizations and our work is actually getting them, giving them someone to talk to and giving them information to listen to with regard to these opportunities available. So that is one way it's happening. In addition to that, I've seen that teachers
Mhm.
in schools are also taking a higher level of interest in these opportunities. They understand more about the potential. And therefore, when students actually have questions, and when students have or need information and they're interested, and the in-class learning or that experience might not be the best format of learning for some students, at least, teachers are also becoming more open to give them more information. I have teachers who connect with me, and we have our entire program facilitator group, and teachers connect with us, and we provide necessary information. So I think at that young age, there is a system. There is a system where students can gain information about skilled trades. It's happening through organizations like us, and definitely the school system also is playing a massive part.
Mhm. That's a win-win for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Because you think about that 12 to 14-year-old age group, there's almost alternative learning you almost want to provide, so they know that that's an option. And that's kind of what we're talking about here, whether it be that getting your accreditation for a babysitter, knowing that maybe that is something you want to do. You want to work with seniors, other different things. But it's
Definitely.
those linkages in the community where that safety net is there, that safety net to talk and explore.
Sure.
That's so
Definitely.
very key. Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Would you mind then sort of, I know we've talked about a lot of your work and sort of the prongs of people it touches in the community. And if we could sort of just I guess maybe recap in terms of earning potential for some of the skilled trades. And, as you mentioned that they're growing and there's quite a need here. And by 2023, you had said that these statistics are quite high. So what you had mentioned earning potential, like how long would it take for, like, let's say someone just entering into apprenticeship with plumbing? Like, do they have a 5-year plan? Could you speak to more about that?
So I think with apprenticeships, no matter what apprenticeship they get into, what would happen is that from day one, they will be making a minimum wage and above. So they will be accumulating because with this is how it works. So with apprenticeships, whatever you get into, there's a minimum number of hours that you need to clock.
Yeah.
As the number of hours you've learned.
Yes.
So you're going to get paid for those. I met a machinist apprentice a few weeks ago from Linama, which is a major industrial company here.
Oh, yeah.
And she had completed, during the 4-year apprenticeship, she had completed 7,800 hours of apprenticeship, practical apprenticeship, 7,800 hours. And for every one of those hours, she had got paid. So what will happen is that you will start at a basic standard minimum, and then every year, or with every periodical change, you're going to make more on top of that. It's going to continue growing during the apprenticeship itself. So if you get into such a pathway, you're looking at a massive saving for yourself at least. But I'll also tell you another trend. So this is just the learning part of things, is that there are a lot of companies, including Linama, because I heard it from the Linama executive itself, that if they get an apprentice into their work, they will fully fund the college program. If you are interested in taking a college program, which they encourage, it will be fully funded by companies.
Hear that out there, everybody?
Exactly. So this is win, all winning from all angles. You can educate, and this particular Layla, her name was, machining apprentice I met. She had done the Linama apprenticeship while also completed the college program. I think it was at George Brown. If I'm not right, I'm not sure. So you've got a college education, you've got expertise from that angle, you completed your apprenticeship, you're getting your license to independently operate, which makes you a highly recognized, high potential individual. So once you get licensed, or once you reach that minimum number of hours, once you prove your expertise, thereafter the earning potential is unlimited, I would say. Because this is the thing, with trades, there's room for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because the demand is huge. So if you want to, you're looking at a trajectory of establishing your own business. There's room to work with major multinational corporations because they're always on the lookout. So they're not going to pay you small amounts. So you're looking at a stable job with, benefits and pay and all of that, and recognition and stature, and various opportunities within those, because you get into such a company, you never know what kind of projects you get into. So that. And the other aspect is creativity, because with skilled trades, once you become someone, like, for example, if you take a carpenter, the room for you to be creative and build unique solutions, or unique, in a carpenter's case, unique pieces of furniture, specialize in something, is something that a lot of people do in Canada and all around the world. And thereafter, the potential is unlimited, because I know a few people who are in woodworking and who are in carpentry, who have their unique designs, and their earning potential is at a different level, because they're selling these for hundreds and thousands of dollars, and living life on their own terms. It's a remarkable life they've built with that skill, because it's quite independent, and they have a lot of freedom in how they exercise that skill. So in terms of earning potential, undoubtedly skilled trades are the area of profession or career where you have the potential to earn at an earliest point in time. Because if you get in an apprenticeship, you're earning at a very young age, unlike university or college. If you purely just do a college course. And thereafter it keeps growing and it keeps growing. And we understand that just to throw ballpark figures, in Ontario, the average income across the board, all jobs, it's about 52, 53, around that figure. And these are rough figures. But with the trades, purely, if you just look at the trades and average it out, look at a median figure, it's about 70 to 75,000. So it's a massive gap, because of two qualities in trades. It's because they are essential, and it's because they are in demand. You can't really live life without a plumber or electrician, but those are not the only jobs. 144 jobs, Lynn. 144.
That is crazy.
And all of them are essential. All of them are in demand.
Do you hear that, Does everyone hear that? I hope that they do. 144 for our youth out there who are wondering what the next steps are, and that the earning potential is tremendous, really.
It is.
Right. So that's incredible. I love how you reference carpentry, because, when you think about entrepreneurship in another angle, you can have that base carpentry work that you do, but maybe you have another part of your life, such as building sets for theater. That could be a whole other avenue. Again, you've got those skills, earning potential there. That's a different part of your life, artistic part of your life that you can incorporate as well. And that's sort of, yeah.
I think the movie industry,
Movie.
they are always on the lookout for, with all these new shows coming up,
Yes.
Game of Thrones, and I don't know, all these new shows, the work that is required to build those set pieces, they're always on the lookout for skilled tradespeople.
Yeah. And makeup artistry, for example, when you think about that, and, I can think of a few that have gone on to the film industry and doing from like amazing, like makeup and hair, and their earning potential is incredible. Or someone who is a baker for an institution, but then they have their business on the side. So they've got a double earning potential, right?
Indeed.
It's incredible. It's endless possibilities. And as you had said, the numbers are quite high. So a diversity of jobs for anyone that's listening, diversity of earning potential as well. And basically we're honoring you when you're getting into those fields. It's honoring what you can bring to the table, so to speak. And you're not deviating to something else that you don't feel comfortable with, but it's you being yourself 100% in the work that you do. That's very, very cool. And that sort of speaks to your emotional intelligence as well, right?
It does.
But you want to validate that and sort of keep moving forward and contributing. When people are happy in their work, we have positive contributions to society, right? Yeah, that's really cool. I learned a lot from you today, and I hope that our viewers and listeners have learned a lot from you today, and look forward to reaching out to you in another capacity as well. And I do want to remind our viewers and listeners that we're here because of Youth for Change Canada, and that is the reason that we're here. And I'm just going to read a little bit about our vision for Youth for Change. Youth for Change is providing marginalized youth the opportunity to live wholesome, successful, enriching lives and engaging, dynamic programs while stimulating positive physical change. We're also about bridging professionals, role models, which we're doing here today. Azman has been a role model for us, and we're learning and growing with him along the way. I don't know. Would you like to add anything else? What about words of wisdom before we head out?
Well, the only thing I would say, words of wisdom. I think patience and perseverance. That's two words of wisdom. At least in my personal life, and even in the trades, the people I've spoken to, two qualities that have helped them is this incredible resilience they have in the face of these challenges, which comes from patience and perseverance. Because when tough things happen to you, you've got to cut through it. You've got to remain. You've got to survive, and that comes from patience. How patient can you be will determine how long your journey is going to be. So I think that's one quality we see in all these tradespeople. And a youth, for you, because of the tech and the digital age we live in, and the instantaneous world, we want everything fast and everything. We want quick results, and we want I think even if that's why if the tendency to read books is less compared to a movie, because you want to absorb the whole book, and we know incredible books have been turned into movies, and the movies are more popular than the books. I think there are books that are getting to known, becoming popular only because of a movie that is being made about it. So it's because of this instantaneous thrill that we are seeking, but which patience and perseverance would be completely opposed of. It'll oppose it, because life, no matter what happens, life is a road that you have to take. It can be long, And only if you have patience and perseverance, if you can persevere, because it's going to throw you so many challenges, only then will you be the one to survive the longest. So I would say that is a very important quality that youth can consider bringing into their themselves.
Wow. So patience and perseverance. I think we can all get t-shirts. Patience and perseverance on the back. Or buttons or something like that. That's amazing. I've been thrilled to spend time with you. I've learned along the way, along this journey. So thank you for being a part of that as well for Youth for Change and contributing to the conversation for our youth of today and tomorrow, because our youth really matter, and it's Spotlight on Youth Matters, and you truly do matter to us. So thank you for watching. My name has been Lynn McEntee. I've had a wonderful, wonderful guest here today, Azman from Skills Ontario. We will share links in our recording and that we post on YouTube. Please reach out to us with any ideas that you have for any future programming. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care.